Hello, everyone. Today, I once again have a full stream planned, so I want to thank you guys for sticking around as an audience. And I'll start off like I normally do, talking about the AI. So I have Jeffrey running here. He's been running into the wall a lot, but that also means that he's choosing to move a lot. So that's somewhat promising, but also kind of boring in the same sense. But I picked around to find an environment where I had seen him move out of the light a little bit, a starting environment to see him move out of the light a little bit. And it turns out that this zero object environment was this zero object environment had instincts that were eventually forcing him out of the light. So we should see that throughout the stream. I will keep him running, and as you can see over to the left, I have the AI also running. So Jeffrey's learning, and it is possible that his decisions will change over the course of this stream. But if you see how it's quickly going between beeps and bloops, that means that no changes are being made at the moment. So if you see a lot of blips, then that means that there's a possibility of a new change coming into play, but whether we will see that new change as something that's different is completely up to the AI. So we will see how that goes, and hopefully we'll be surprised over the course of the stream. So you may have seen from the title of the stream that I'll be talking about nature versus nurture. That's a psychological concept and somewhat of a philosophical concept. I will be talking about that later in the stream, but I wanted to start off by giving an update on the AI. So Jeffrey has been running constantly. I haven't shut him off. He's been running constantly since Wednesday, and obviously he had been running before that, but since Wednesday, like that's what I'm giving you the update on. Jeffrey has been running near constantly. I've been running him overnight, and just I want to get as much learning in as possible because, like I've said in the past, this particular task is quite massive, and it is also many times larger, many times more difficult and more time consuming than the ball drop task. So I want to get as much learning in as possible so that we can see the actual results of a long period of learning for each environment, not just for the entire task, because each environment itself is a new game. So I wanted to see what new things would happen. I did see Jeffrey eat a piece of food that seemed like he was locking onto it and finding it, but that was only in one situation, and then when he ate it, the situation changed and he didn't go for the next piece of food. So I don't know if that was a coincidence or if there was actually a decision. I would have to go into that specific environment, instinct and specific health battery ratio case, and find the instinct that was being used, and at the moment that would be too difficult to decipher due to the fact that I wasn't on my toes at the moment and didn't write down all the specifics of that environment. But I believe there was just one rock and two pieces of food. I'm not sure how much health and battery he had, so we will have to see what that looks like, and who knows, maybe it will happen in this stream. But I'm just putting it out there that I did see some progress, at least, even if it was slightly random. So hopefully we'll see some events during the stream. I saw in this environment before I had the stream started, Jeffrey ran outside of the light. And I know we've seen that before, but it is interesting to see the decision-making process once Jeffrey's into a more dynamic environment. So I just want you guys to keep an eye on him, just in the corner of your eye. It should be pretty obvious if something's happening because the colors will change. It'll catch your attention. Um, Until then, I will continue talking about the AI. So in news of updates, I don't have any updates that I plan to add to Jeffrey anytime soon, because I finally have him working 100%. So these are not the reloader programs. These are just the driver and the boss program running side by side, and they are not crashing at all. I have seen the driver program stall out, but I believe that is just a computational situation. It's similar to what was happening in the past with my old computer, to where Pygame, the visualization engine that I'm using to make the picture here, cannot handle it needs its own designated space. So if something is taking too much space in terms of CPU, then Pygame will just conk out. So that's not a coding error. That's more of a visualization engine error, or a module error. But that is something I could go look for a new module that is more hardy. But at the moment, Pygame is getting the job done, so I'm going to stick with it. So and it doesn't seem like a good idea to try and fix that now that I have the actual code running smoothly. So I'm going to keep it here because it's getting the job done. But in terms of other updates, I am looking into adding a second gear. I know I talked about this a while ago, to the AI in as a whole. So the actual decision, the actual thought process, and the actual optimization of the sets of traits, I'm hoping to put in a new gear. So what I mean by that is that right now I have the genetic intuitive process, which looks through and it checks to see if there's differences, and if there are differences, then it says, are these good differences? So it checks that. But this process still stalls out every once in a while when it gets to the top of a hill, and I know we've explained this before. So what I'm going to do is add in a new step when it gets to a point where it's stuck, to where it makes the best or something better out of the best possible arrangement of the decisions that it has. So let's say there's 10 if statements that the AI can write out per program. So if it has a best program that has 10 if statements, or has less than that, but it calls for a certain amount of if statements, then what happens is the last if statement is the most important, because anything that has been said before can be overwritten by the last if statement. So what happens is, if the 9th if statement has something that's good, and then the 10th if statement cancels it out, then that whole decision is never seen. So what I plan to do is to take the set of traits that is the best already, and just have the AI go through and bubble sort the if statements based off of importance. And if you know coding, then you may know what a bubble sort is. I'm just using that somewhat metaphorically. It's not necessarily an exact analog to how I plan to do it. But I want the AI to scan through and say and see which order of the if statements is better. Now, I can't guarantee that this new order will be the best configuration, because if there's 10 if statements, and then you want to find the best arrangement out of every single arrangement, then that's easy statistics. That's just a 10 factorial. So that's 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. But 1 doesn't really matter. So it's a really big number. I can actually grab my phone calculator here and just give you an idea of that. So 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 equals 3,628,800 different configurations. Now, trying to go through that entire tree would just be stupid, because it would be a waste of time. Because if there's only one perfect configuration, or best configuration, because obviously even if I found the best configuration out of it, it wouldn't be perfect. It wouldn't be a perfect answer to the game. But if there's only one best configuration, and you're trying to find that in a pool of 3.6 million, then you have to go through all of them to check to see if every single one is better than the last. So it would be inefficient to try and look through all of them, but there are ways that you could get to a relatively better. Here we go. We get some movement. You could get to a relatively better configuration just by sorting through. So what I'm hoping to do is to have it set up so that it moves one if statement and sort of figures out what its importance is, almost giving the if statement itself a fitness score. So it uses that if statement, and then it finds out what the importance of it is, and then it's going to use that importance to figure out where it needs to be in comparison to the other if statements. Now, what I'm hoping will happen from these is that the if statements will become more harmonious, which means that the if statements will work better together than one if statement doing one thing and another if statement doing another thing. I want them to play off of each other. So if the one if statement is doing half of this and the next if statement does the other half, then you still get the full product. And what happens is sometimes you need two if statements to answer a question, or to give a command dynamically. So I'm going to apply that into what is the current AI for the ball drop program and see if it does better. Now, the ball drop program has been completely run through on the stream, so I will be using that as comparison. So we have the best program from the ball drop, and what I plan to do is, since Jeffery is a little bit slower in the learning process and won't be showing much improvement physically on the stream, I will be running him constantly in the background and like off stream, and then giving updates on the Wednesday streams and right before the Saturday streams, and then I will run the ball drop program on the Saturday streams over the course of the entire hour, so that you can see the progress and the difference that the second gear makes. So I'm hoping to have that done by the next Saturday stream, so that gives me a week to work on that. I have made some progress already, but I didn't want to try and force it out for this Saturday. And I know that Jeffery has been making some progress, so I wanted to show off that in today's stream. So he will be running for the entirety of the stream, and I will be moving on to my other topics. So for now, I will play a short ad, and I will be right back.